Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dungeon Mastered. I am your host, Dustin. With me is Martin.
Hey, everybody.
We have our new friend, James.
Hello.
And we have Martin's daughter, Hailey.
Hi.
Before we get started, just want to remind you guys about a few things. First off, feel free to hop over to dungeonmastered.com where you can check out previous episodes of the podcast. You can contact us. You can pretty much interact with us from there. Also, look us up on iTunes where you can subscribe, review. Please look us up and review us on iTunes. We'd appreciate it. We're also on Stitcher. Currently, there is a little bit of an issue with sound quality on there, but we're working to resolve that. So hopefully for those people who are listening in the future, that will be fixed. Also, look us up on Facebook. Dungeon Mastered is the page, and at Dungeon Mastered on Twitter. All right, so today we're going to begin a possibly 2 or 3 part series with a quick playthrough. Martin is actually going to be our DM for today, but before we get into that, let's talk to James real quick. James is one of our older friends from high school who's going to be playing in the campaign with us. And James, tell us a little bit about how you got into Dungeons and Dragons.
Actually, Martin is the person responsible for getting me into playing. I was a freshman in high school and didn't really know too many people, and I knew Martin and Dustin, the other people that were playing through band. And Martin was like, hey, let's try this game out. I was like, okay. So my friend Craig and I went over to Martin's house and played a campaign. I believe I played a fighter, and it was just so much fun. I was just so involved with it, and I decided to keep playing. And then from Martin, I was introduced to Carl and his brother and Dustin, and got wrapped into their campaigns and played all throughout high school and some of college, and took a break probably in 2003 to now.
Yeah, and James is actually one of the 2 friends that we have that just had his, midlife crisis in his 20s. What did you do in your 20s that sets you apart from everybody else?
Well, it depends. There's so many things that have happened. In my early 20s, I moved to Hawaii for 4 years. In my mid-20s, moved to Japan for a little bit. And in my late 20s, I moved back to Georgia.
Yeah, so some people buy cars, other people start podcasts. Some people just sell everything and move to Hawaii. Also, we have Hailey. Now, Hailey is Martin's daughter, and she has expressed interest in playing. And so we said, well, you know what? Let's put her on the podcast. Let's see how it goes. So how are you doing today, Hailey?
I'm doing really good.
So what made you want to play?
Well, my dad said he had a lot of fun in high school and college with his friends playing it. So he asked me if I wanted to try, and I said, sure, yeah.
And so far, have you actually played, or is this the very first time?
I played my backstory with him. That's it.
Okay. So Martin, this will be the first time that we've had you DM on the podcast. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be getting into for the next few episodes.
Well, for this, and you just really never know, depending on how your characters react to everything, but this is a long-running idea campaign, just series that I had kind of thought up in college, some in high school, and the basis for this one is just something different from all the different campaigns we played before. This one is going to be called Everdusk, and we'll learn more about that as we go. It's titled Everdusk, A Sacrifice of Blood and Light, and this specific campaign is going to be titled Tears of the Fallen.
Awesome.
Now, this campaign will take place in almost any other kind of generic world. However, there will be a few different tweaks, kind of homebrew stuff that I think every DM actually is able to do. And we're going to use a little bit of extra technology and kind of branch out. So for those listening, we will be working behind the scenes on some new technology that we haven't used before, like virtual mappers and things like that. So it should be really interesting.
Great. Before we begin, we've got a few things that we've got to do. I think everybody else has rolled their scores. I have not, but we'll do a little overview of the characters. Before we do that, little housekeeping. You might hear a little white noise in the background. We do have a couple of fans going because we are in Georgia, and it gets really hot and humid really quick. So we do have to have some relief from that, especially with all of this equipment in here just burning us up. All right, so I guess, James, let's go ahead and talk about your character. Give us his name and tell us a little bit about him.
I rolled a guy came Roland the Rat. He is a rogue. Background is a street urchin. Basically, he's out for himself, kind of apathetic to the ways of the world. He had a friend growing up that he basically was really close to, and then that friend wasn't a friend anymore and kind of helped him become who he is now.
Great. Go ahead and read off your scores and tell us your proficiencies and let us know a little bit about the mechanics of your character.
Okay. My character is a human, so it gets a +1 to all of his ability scores. So all the scores will have that +1 into consideration. He's got a 14 strength, 16 dexterity, 12 constitution, intelligence of 14, wisdom of 12, and charisma of 14. Prefers to use a short sword. Let's see. He is proficient in acrobatics, athletics, deception, perception, sleight of hand, and stealth. Because of the street urchin background, he has 2 additional skills that he's proficient in.
All right, and we've played a few rogues on the show before, so you get something called expertise, where you get to double up on some rolls or your thieves' tools. What did you go with for expertise?
Expertise, I chose stealth because every rogue needs to have stealth and thieves' tools.
Sounds great. All right, Hailey, what did you decide to go with today? Tell us about your character.
Her name's Madeline Dench, and she's a half-orc fighter. Her strength is 18, dexterity is 13, constitution is 17, intelligence is 8, wisdom is 11, charisma is 10. Her proficiencies are acrobatics, athletics, intimidation, perception, and survival.
All right, sounds good. All right, I am playing a monk for this playthrough. His name is Bronson Bedrosian. He's a human monk from, I guess, a hermit background. I don't have a whole lot of particular information because I haven't rolled my scores yet, so we're going to do that real quick. And, Martin, we're using the 4-dice-6, is that right?
That's correct. Drop your lowest.
All right, sounds good. Anybody got 6-sided dice? I need 2 more. Awesome. All right. What? That's a weird-looking dice. All right, so first roll. I've got a 6, a 4, a 5, and a 3.
Nice.
So that's, a 6, a 5, a 4, and a 3. So that's a 15. Yeah. Math. Who needs it? I've got a 3, a 2. All right, so a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. So that is a 9. A 6, a 6, a 5, and a 2. So that is a 17. I've got a 5, a 4, a 4, and a 3. So a 13. That's 3 threes, and I don't even know what that weird-looking dice is showing.
That's actually a 6.
That's a 6? It looks like a Q.
Also known as a 6.
No, okay. All right. 6, 3, and 3, so 12. How many is that? 5? One more. Weird dice. All right, there's another Q. A 6, a 3, and a 2, so that's 15. Okay, so what we've done, I went ahead and paused the recording because you guys don't need to sit here while I do math. And I'm going to read off the scores as I've put them in. So we've got a strength of 14. We've got a dexterity of 18, constitution of 16, intelligence of 10, wisdom of 16, and a charisma of 13. And just a quick reminder, if you're wondering because you didn't hear any of those scores rolled, it's because humans get a +1 to all ability scores. I am proficient in acrobatics, so got a +6. Proficient in athletics, that's a +4. Proficient in medicine, which is a +5, and religion, which is a +2. They all come from being a monk and a hermit. So, with that said, I don't think there's any more housekeeping we need to do. So, Martin, why don't you go ahead and get us started, buddy?
All right. Well, the setting for this is going to be located in Ferry's Way, or Ferry's Launch, however you want to call it. I call it Ferry's Way, and that's because this is a river port town. They actually have about 3-4 different sections of their town that are located on this river. There's a main island in the bottom left with the surrounding town on the outside. There's a road from the west that comes into the town, which is very rarely used, and there's a road to the south that is the main road that comes in. We're going to start this off with Dustin's character coming into the town, and he's actually going to take the road less traveled into the town, and this is going to come straight into our market in the southwest. There's a lot going on. You have a lot of peddlers, jugglers, people of all sorts, fire breathers, a lot of people that you're going to be kind of looking your nose down at as in very cheap tricks type of thing.
Yes, I am completely unentertained by all of this. It's very, it's almost a waste, but I understand. Everything has its place.
Now, as you're traveling through, you do notice that at least they are keeping up the city well, and this is going to be one of the larger ones you've encountered on your way. Having almost kind of a nomadic way of traveling around and trying to see the world, this is by far the biggest town that you've actually been able to come into since leaving the temple. And one of the things that continuously sticks in your head is Maddox's warning for watch for a sign and watch for the key. And you're not sure why, but, for the most part, he would venture out and really discover the world and do so many of those things just like you're wanting to do now. And you're almost secondhandly thinking this is just ridiculous. I don't need to worry about that part of it.
Well, certainly, my master Maddox is my biggest role model, so anything that he says holds great weight with me. So I am going to be very vigilant on anything I see or hear. But while I'm doing such, looking for such a lofty goal, I'm going to also keep my ears and eyes open for any opportunity to serve, to help anyone around, to sort of pay my keep while I'm in the town.
And seeing most of the things that you are in just the market area, not too much is interesting, so you decide you're going to go ahead and venture north directly into the first part of the town. Having a bit of a, I don't know, it's not a sweet tooth, it's a wet tooth. You decide to kind of mosey on into the tavern and inn that's located right off the side. This is going to be called the Stern and Port Inn.
Okay, I'm going to enter the inn and approach the barkeep.
You approach the barkeep, and you're kind of just sitting here looking around like, where in the world is all the service and everything. There's plenty of people, lots of people getting angry. Just to your right is a young gentleman that's kind of hunched, and he's all in rags, and he's got this large tube on his back. You think maybe it holds something almost like a scroll. And then to your right, going towards the kitchen, you're starting to hear some scuffling and some yelling.
Well, I'm going to make my way to where the yelling has come from. I'm not in any rush to get back there. I just want to see what's happening.
As you go over there to, the kitchen area, it's got a couple double doors that swing ever so much, and you have a couple servers that come in and out of it, and you catch the slightest glimpse of what appears to be a young female all wrapped in rags. And the biggest thing about this is that it kind of slipped off, and you saw almost like green grayish skin, something that has never been seen before in all the lands. It's something only of probably legend that you could recall, even from the Great Temple Library. But it shocks you, and then you see the headmaster of the inn just yelling at this. It appears to be maybe a young girl. You can't really tell, dark hair, but she's pretty tall. You can't really pick out an age. But immediately he makes sure that she wraps the rest of her face and ears completely up in cloth.
Okay, well, I'm not going to interfere right now. That's not Bronson's thing. It's for every action there's a reaction. So if he is abusing her, it's going to come back on him. As long as he doesn't actively outright strike her,
right?
Then I won't do anything.
And one of the things that you notice immediately is that she kind of cows in front of him a little bit. She puts her head down a little bit in an apologetic fashion, and you can tell all of a sudden he puts his hands on her shoulder and he is fully soothing her. It's not in the least bit him trying to anger or belittle her or do anything to her, except really almost like this was something that you need to make sure you're careful about. And so from that point, he actually sends her in a back way, and it looks like it's to go to one of the sections of the room, but it looks like it's probably a servant's corridor to get to some of the rooms. Other than that, he comes bustling out straight to you, says, "Yes, sir. Can I help you?"
I'm actually interested in maybe taking up a room. Do you have a room available for the next few days?
We do. Thank you so much for choosing us in this great town, great world. You seem a little bit not from here.
Oh no. I'm from the Temple of Tehran, far from here. But I am very weary, and I could possibly be here a few days. Also, if there's anything at all that I could do to help out around here, please let me know.
And you notice, as soon as you mention where you're from, it's almost like a flicker of the eye, almost like a pulse for just a second. But given your awareness, you're able to pick up that for some reason he's recognizing that name of that place. You can't necessarily tell why, but you can tell there's something in there that's triggered it. And so immediately he turns away and calls over a servant, "Come over here and help this gentleman. Let's go ahead and get him prepared for a room. The Everdusk will be coming soon. If you're not aware of that, we do have a curfew at the Everdusk, which will have probably a bell or two before evenfall. But just make sure that everything is in by Everdusk. That's our primary curfew time." And then he looks at this one person and said, you need to stop sleeping in here. I've told you over and over and over to stop sleeping in here." And he's looking at you, Mr. Roland.
Leave me alone. I'm just trying to sleep.
We have rooms here.
But why would I pay when I can sleep here for free?
Oh, foolish man. I understand that your friend has been gone for a while, but you really need to kind of lift yourself up a little bit and get over it. I don't think she's coming back. I know she had a kind of a limp, so I'm not quite sure where she got off to, but I just really don't think this is a good look for you. You've drank enough for today. Everdusk is coming soon, and either you're here or you're going to be out soon.
You higher class people, you never care about us. Just ignore me like everyone else does.
Well, the inn master didn't keep. He just kind of pats him on the shoulder and lets him know in a reassuring fashion that everything's going to be okay. And as your character kind of witnesses this, Dustin, he it seems like even though he has a gruff manner, he watch him go around the room, and he's really taking care of some of the people that look like they've been down on their luck or having problems. You do notice there are a few ruffians in the room and a couple of off-duty guards who are causing some trouble and have kind of been pinching the maids that have been going by. And you notice that he hasn't fully made his rounds over there yet, but you can probably expect that he's going to do that anytime soon. They're actually going to have a serving lady comes up to you and actually says, "We do have your rooms ready if you just come with me up the stairs, and I'll show you where they're at."
I nod my head politely.
She takes you up the stairs. She says, "Do you have any bags with you?"
"No, ma'am. Just what I have on me."
Okay.
That's all.
So she takes you up to the room. She shows you where it's at. And it's a nice room. You are kind of puzzled why the innkeep didn't ask you for any money up front or anything like that. It's kind of a different approach to this from some of the towns you've been into, and you would imagine that the price is pretty hefty, but you're not going to worry about it right now.
Well, upon entering, I would like to say something to the maid who's leading me up there. This room is very unnecessary. I can make do with the common room or with a much smaller room. This extravagance is not necessary, I assure you.
Oh, no, not a problem. Unfortunately, I do have to abide by my innkeeper's rules, and when he specifically addresses in this way that we take somebody to a room, then this is the way it goes. Unfortunately for us, if you wish to dispute that later, he'll be down there in the inn. Here's your room right here. It's the fifth one on the left, right off of the stairwell. There's also a bath in the back where you can have that. It is not communal, so it is separated based off of males and females. And feel free to come down to the inn for a snack and bite to eat before the Everdusk.
Certainly, I thank you very much, and I attempt to be very appreciative of this kind gesture.
Now, Hailey, your character is actually in the room next door. She's been listening very attentively. She's got, trying to figure out who this person was that's, right in the room next to her. Because, of course, just being young and curious and now being alone, it's pretty nerve-wracking. You remember when Griff told you in the previous town that when you came to the outside world, you're going to have to hide your features. And that is because a half-orc is nothing the world has ever seen. If anything, this is a demonic, monstrous type of being that this world is very afraid of. And what they thought was gone might not have been completely gone. So for you, you're basically just going to undo your wraps. You've been sweating, you've been hot. Everything's been, you're feeling disgusting, and you lay your mother's greatsword on the side of the mantle next to the fireplace, and then you feel in your pocket for that thing that was under your adopted mother's bedside. Do you want to pull that out?
Yes, please.
So you pull it out, and it's a little kind of half-circle medallion. There's a little chain on it, but it's very sinewy looking. It's if you had a word for it, you would say it's a dragon, but it's dark. It's black and shadowy. You think that maybe it's a goldish inlay with onyx inset, so it's very, very dark. Almost seems like it absorbs a lot of the light, and you stare at it and immediately you kind of tear up thinking of your adopted mother and thinking as well of the mother you didn't know, where you also were able to inherit the sword. But you also were troubled, some from the visions that you've had from when you saw your mother's corpse in the shadow forest and the twining tree that you cut down so that way you could lay her to rest. But something happened. Something trembled in the earth, and something's now different. James, you're sitting there at that nice, carven counter. It's softer than the best pillow you've ever had. Surprisingly enough, there's actually a glass of water that you don't know how it got there, but it's actually right next to you just so that way you can be hydrated. You're very concerned because after your main job where you secured the scroll from the main manor house, you saw a horrible, horrible act of just barbarism against a young guard, and you're pretty sure it was a lord. You're not sure who he was, but you're pretty sure he was a lord. And that scroll that you have on your back, unfortunately, the mark that you were supposed to deliver this to never showed. So you've been carrying this around and kind of feeling almost like a hunted person. But you're also trying to figure out what happened during the even dusk and that night. What was it that was so strange and so different? And, unfortunately, right now, you don't know. You're trying to puzzle it out in your head even when you're laying here and people are thinking you're sleeping, but you're really just trying to go over it in your head over and over. And you're also trying to go over that last little piece of paper that you found where your friend was, where it just said, find the King's Way, go to the King's Road, go to King's Land. Dustin, you've had an opportunity to kind of stretch out a little bit in the room. Would you like to go to the bath?
Yeah, I've been on the road for a while, so I'll go ahead and kind of clean up. Take this opportunity to just kind of refresh myself. So I'll leave everything in the main room, go to the bath.
So you're able to go on into the back. You do see a big divider. You see where there's a couple shoes laying off to the left, and that's apparently the female side of it. And so the right side is the male's. You take off your sandals, and you're able to kind of submerge yourself. It's been soothing. It's relaxing. And, you're sitting there just really kind of coming into your own and getting your focus and really in a meditative state when you hear some whimpering on the other side of the wall. It's a little disturbing because, you are trying to relax and, it kind of pulls at you because it doesn't sound like somebody that's, just whimpering for something. Sorry, there's a heartfelt just pain from the whimper. Having soaked for a little while, you stop hearing the whimpers and you go back into your state and clean yourself off and get the opportunity to actually stand up and go over and grab one of the towels, which is right in the entrance. And as you grab it, you again see a green hand grasping the same towel. And now you're not seeing something that's unreal. All of a sudden, all the old stories that Maddox has told you about the old demons, the fallen, all of the betrayal from the great creator, all of these things are suddenly just hitting you hard in your head and being very hesitant to do anything. You kind of stare at the hand. When the hand notices that you've gripped it too, immediately you kind of hear a little bit of a shriek, and then that hand jerks back, and then all of a sudden another towel comes under, and this green streak bolts down the hallway.
That's definitely peculiar. It's very odd. I'll go ahead. I'll get garbed
dressed
up and I'm curious. I want to go see what this is.
You go ahead and get garbed up, and you can see just the wet footprints all the way down the hall. And you're standing there, and you kind of look at the door, and you're like, okay, it's obvious where this person is went. And you knock. There's no answer. There's absolutely nothing but silence, and you kind of gauge from the sound that you're not sure this person is probably even still here because it just seems like they were in a rush. They might have actually just went ahead and garbed up real quick and stepped out. You go ahead into your room, you garb up, or you dry off everything. Everything's good. You relax for a second. Decide to go ahead and get your even dusk meal. So we all know that the toll is coming for the even dusk, and this is a treacherous time that's mostly tradition, as they say, but they call it a treacherous time right before the even fall, right before full dusk is the even dusk. Again, you see that just scraggly fella still laying with his head there on the bar, and then that one girl you saw in wraps, you still think it is a girl, and from the shriek you can devise that, is now still back in the kitchen, kind of taking a meal with her back to you. One of the serving girls gestures you to a seat. unfortunately is next to a bunch of ruffians and probably some off-duty guards, and who immediately take notice of you and decide to pursue some mockery towards you at the same time.
Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I'll go ahead and take my seat and await my food.
Your food comes out. Roland, you sniff a little bit and notice as well. All of a sudden, there's some food next to you as well. Maddie's back there, and she's been given some food, and you've just basically got your garbs up a little bit. And everybody is pretty content. And everybody feels this is a world where everything is pretty good and everything goes well. While everybody's having this meal, these ruffians kind of get a little out of hand and start grabbing a couple of the ladies that are going by and being extremely rude. This happens, and all of a sudden, a group of guards immediately start to bustle in. These guards are very large. They're in black and gray armor. Your character doesn't see them because you're in the kitchen. Your head's down right now, but your eye catches that armor, and it's a sigil that you don't recognize. A dark, dark sigil.
Okay. Well, I'll see how it plays out. And that's kind of my MO, is just to, for every action, there's a reaction. So I just want to, as long as it doesn't get, unlawful. If the guards need a hand, I'll get in. But I just want to observe.
Yeah, and you can immediately see it starts to become unlawful. Every female that comes near these guards, they immediately are grabbing, staring at them, looking them over, feeling their face and skin, and then immediately tossing them aside. Finn, the innkeeper, comes bustling out, and you can tell he can hold himself pretty well. But the very first thing that happens is that one of these guards grabs him right by the neck and lifts him 2 feet off the ground and advises him that he needs to cease and desist. They will be searched. And so they start scanning through the room. One guy sniffs at you, grabs a female immediately to the neck right as she's walking by, touches her, looks at her skin, and then slams her down to the ground.
Okay, that's my cue. I'm going to stand to my feet, and I'm going to back away from any kind of, obstructions, anything that might hinder me. I'm assuming that I didn't bring anything down with me.
Nothing that you wouldn't normally bring with you. You didn't. Your staff, everything. It's going to be upstairs because this was a time of
all right
relaxation.
Well, yeah, I'm going to stand to my feet, and I'm going to address the gentleman that attacked the young lady, and I'm going to say, I won't tolerate that kind of foolishness. You need to apologize to the young lady immediately, sir.
And he stares at you up and down, and another guard comes up, and he kind of says, is there a problem here? And while this is transpiring, a girl next to you, James, Roland, is immediately grabbed and shoved to the ground extremely hard. You hear a loud crack as she hits the ground, and immediately just something about your friend, something about your just time with the friend that you had that was a female that had problems. This just boils in you in just pure disgust, and somebody that typically doesn't take action. You feel very compelled. Not having a room, you actually have everything on you. You'll have your sword. You'll have everything that you previously had. And so you actually have an opportunity to react at this time, too.
Do I have a opportunity of attack?
This is not... you do not have an opportunity of attack, per se.
Okay. I'm going to raise my head off the table, and I will look at him and with a very stern face ask him, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
And then another guard comes next to him and looks at the two of you, and he's also wondering if there is a problem. And just as a serving girl comes out of the kitchen right next to you, they see her in the back. And you haven't noticed her before, but you see her clear across the room, and that's Maddie. So as you see Maddie, and you see Maddie, both of you do, you then notice that the guard sees her, and he says, "There she is." And now we'll roll initiative because these guys are ready to come after this girl right now.
Well, certainly I'm not going to let that happen. So. All right, so I rolled a 3, and that's a +4, so I have a 7.
I rolled a 15 plus 3, so that is an 18.
All right.
I'm going to need to re-roll that because I'm an idiot. I forgot this was 5th edition. So instead of the die 10 that I just rolled, I'm going to need to roll a die 20.
Wasn't that in 2nd edition
Yes,
as well?
that was 2nd edition.
Okay.
Shut your face. All right, so rolling a die 20. All right. So that's a 16 plus 4, so that's a 20. That made a big difference. Rolling the correct dice. Yes.
So we have a 20,
15 plus 3 is 18.
18, and I have a 10. So it looks like you'll be going first,
Okay.
Mr.
It's Bronson.
Bronson.
Bronson Bedrosian.
Bedrosian.
Yeah. I am going to, before I do that, can I ask you this?
Yes.
Do I have time to do just kind of a quick glance over these guys, see what weapons they're using? Or?
Absolutely. You're going to see that they're fully plated up. They've got some heavy black plate with some gray markings, and these gray markings look like a sigil of some sort, but you can't really make it out because it just obscures so much. One has a large long sword. The other one is actually carrying a mace. And this is a similar layout for all of the other ones because we actually have 6 of them in this inn right now. 2 next to your character, Roland, 2 next to Bronson, and then we have 1 next to a table in the east side of the room and then 1 in the southeast side of the room.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to, I guess, ninja kick that bad boy that's within range.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and attack that guy.
Yep.
All right. So that's an 8. Now, as a monk, I have the option of using my dexterity for my attack and damage rolls rather than my strength. So I shall be doing that. So that's an 8 plus 4, which is a 12.
That's going to miss on the first one.
All right. One other thing that I have the option of doing as a monk is foregoing a bonus action
Okay.
and doing an unarmed strike as long as I'm using a monk weapon and my fists happen to be a monk weapon.
That is correct.
So I am going to attempt, instead of a bonus action, I'm not going to move. I'm just going to attempt another strike. So that will miss. That's a 7. So
That's all right. James, you've actually got 1 right directly next to you, and then 1 is a couple spaces away.
I would like to attack the one in front of me with my short sword, and with the sneak attack, do I have to be in stealth to use that?
To actually get that sneak attack, you don't necessarily have to be in stealth. There's a couple of different parameters. One would be they have to actually be already preoccupied by somebody else within that 5-foot radius, or you would have to be able to have advantage of some sort.
Okay.
But if they weren't pre-engaged with somebody else.
Okay. Well, I'll just attack him with my short sword after drawing it out.
Okay.
So I will draw my short sword and stabby. 15 plus 5?
That will hit.
20. Okay. So that is 1d6. Come on, Q. And a 1.
That's
so
a 1.
1 plus 3 is 4 damage.
Okay. Dustin, this one will actually move up to you now because he was a little stunned of what happened. And now that he's moving within your vicinity, you could actually take a reaction for an attack of opportunity.
gonna do so.
That's an affirmative.
that is a 10 plus 4, so 14.
Yep, that'll hit.
All right. Here's comes face punch number 1. That's a 3 plus 4, so
Okay.
7. Do I just get the one attack, or would I get a... I don't guess well, it's not my turn, so I wouldn't get a bonus action.
Right. Yeah, the
Okay.
bonus action's already been used for
7
this
damage.
round.
Okay.
But 7, that was a great attack. James, this guy is going to move over to you as well.
Yay.
And you also have the ability for a reaction since he came
Okay.
into your line, so you can actually attack at him as well.
Do I have advantage?
You do not have advantage.
Okay, I'm going to attack him. A 5 plus 5 is 10.
No, that's not going to hit.
No.
All right, they're going to take their attacks now. And Dustin, they're going to hit you for, will a 19 hit?
Yes, a 19 will hit.
Okay, just to double check. And that'll be 1 damage for the first. The second one will miss because I'm assuming a 9 is not going to hit. James, a 2 is not going to hit, and a 4 is not going to hit. All right, Maddie, so here in this scuffle that's really interrupted your dinner, you hear the clash of swords and all kinds of things. One of the things you also hear is you kind of hear Finn's groan from just outside of the kitchen area. What would you like to do?
I'd like to.
Now,
do
you
I
don't
need-
have anything on you right now, so if you're going to do anything, you can take the servant's quarter up to your room and grab your gear if you want to.
How long will that take?
That's going to take a couple of rounds. Otherwise, you don't really have anything to fight with.
Yeah, I want to go
Okay.
get my great sword.
Okay. So you go off with your the servant's quarter ways and head up to your room. That's going to take 2 rounds for you to be able to do that and come back downstairs. All right. That means that you're back up again, Mr. Bronson.
Well, I'm going to go with the status quo and ninja kick. That's a 12 plus 4, so a 16.
That will hit. And
that-
which one are you attacking?
The same one I attacked the first time.
Okay.
That is a 4 plus 4, so 8. And I'm also going to forego my bonus action. And
For those that weren't listening, he right to the throat. This guy's down.
oh, yeah. All right. Well, then I'm going to redirect my anger
Okay.
upon the next person. That, guys, is what we call a nat 20.
Woo.
So what that means is I'll roll 2 of my damage dice. So 2 die 4. Oh boy, that was anticlimactic. That's 2 1s. So that's 2 damage plus my 4 dexterity modifier, so 6 damage.
Awesome.
I gotta say, I already like this monk.
Yeah.
He's really... You're giving... give a guy an 18 dexterity, he just starts kicking people. Or punching. I prefer kick.
All right. Well, notice some in this commotion. We do have a couple guards that are moving closer towards you, Bronson, just as they just sense that you're more of an imminent threat than the little lone guy in rags.
Keep
see.
thinking that.
Which, by the way, it is your turn, Roland.
All right. I'm going to stab the same guy from before. 14 plus 5 is 19.
That's a hit.
All right. Come on, lucky Q. 3 plus 3 is 6.
Okay. And he's down.
Yeah.
So now we're down to 4 of these last guards left. Finn kind of, shakes his head, and this is the innkeep, shakes his head a little bit, and just unties the back of his apron and just kind of rips it off. And straight down his chest is just an array of daggers. And he decides to take an attack on the far guard closest towards the exit on the east side of the building. And that's a 16. And he's going to suffer 3 damage. Which your instincts immediately, Bronson, tell you that you had a feeling he kind of knew his way around with possible weapons as well. So it was no surprise to you of what he was capable to do. Now it's the guard's turn. The first one's going to go for you, Bronson. And a 15. And that's going to be 1 damage.
15 won't hit.
15 won't hit.
Sorry.
Woo!
Yeah, my armor
All
class
right.
is a 17.
That's right. That incredible dexterity plus wisdom for the monk.
Monks are awesome.
All right. We're going to attack old Roland. Will a 6 hit?
No, my armor class is 14.
All right. Everybody is lucked out.
What are you doing?
You were still out of this for 1 turn, Maddie, so you will be able to come in the round after this one coming up. All right. So this guard is going to shift over just a little bit closer to you, Bronson, as part of his move. And this one is going to shift next to you, Roland, just a little north of you, to kind of block your path. And that's taking their attack and their movement, which is also allowed. Okay. Now it starts back again with you, Bronson.
All right. This time I think I'm going to ninja kick the guy in front of me.
And it's so obvious since your token is him ninja kicking.
It is. That's why I'm doing it. It looks like he's really about to ninja kick somebody. That's a 14.
Total,
Yes.
that will hit.
So that's 5 damage.
And he is down.
I have lethal fist of rage. For my bonus action, I would like to move to the guard nearest to me.
Okay. You can move without having to use your bonus action. It'll just be part of your move. Now, if you move within close proximity of, depending on the guard you go to, are you wanting to move all the way to them?
You know what? Let me move maybe about halfway to him. And I'll do half movement.
Okay.
And I'm just going to wait on him. So for the
Gotcha.
other half of my action, I'm going to hold my hand out and then just go just bring it. The
Understood.
bring it motion to the guy nearest to me.
All right, Roland, you're up.
All right, I'm going to continue the status quo, as Bronson always said, in stabby. 5 plus 5.
That will not hit.
Oh.
All right. Well, given the good positioning of Bronson, we've got one guard that's moving up into his vicinity, which will allow you to take your reaction for an attack of opportunity on him.
I planned on such a thing, and I will be happy to face kick. Face kick him right in the face, as a matter of fact. That's an 18. 18 plus
Oh, yeah.
4.
That'll hit.
That's 4 plus 4, so 8.
Okay.
Freaking monk. This is going to be my guy.
This poor fellow is actually trying to make his away from Finn because he is tired of getting stabbed from a distance. And due to the tables and chairs, it's going to be a difficult terrain, so he's only going to be able to move a total of 4. So 3 basic ones and 1 for half speed. And Finn's also going to take an attack of opportunity. Ooh, that was right on the edge. And that's a miss. That your go should be...
Yeah, it would be the guard's turn.
That's right.
Yep.
8
Nope.
damage? Nope. That's going to miss too. All right. Now it turns back over to you, Bronson. And Maddie, you're able to make an appearance. All right, Bronson.
All right. Kick.
That's so subtle.
That's going to be a miss. That's
Okay.
a 3.
Oh, yeah.
Bonus action. That's a 16 plus 4.
Nice. Yeah, that'll hit.
So that's a 3 plus 4, so 7.
Yep. He's going down
Of course.
from the furious kicks of Bronson Petrosian.
I've lived to see my foes driven before me.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Rowland.
All right. 19 plus 5 is 24.
That'll definitely hit.
No whammies. 4 plus 3 is 7.
Okay. Very good. Now, Miss Maddie, you can go ahead and take your turn since you just popped in.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
So I'm just gonna whack him with my greatsword.
Okay, so you'd like to go ahead and move one space towards him?
Yes, please.
All right. This will provoke an attack of opportunity from the guard.
Okay.
Ooh, and that is a nat 20. And that will be a 2. So you'll suffer 2 damage to your character. And now you can choose to go ahead and whack at that guard.
Get him.
8.
8, okay. And what's your modifier?
3.
I believe that
Wait, you have an 18 strength, right?
So
Is
that should
she
be
using-
a plus 6.
She have a plus.
So plus 4 to her strength and a plus 2 to her proficiency, being proficient. So that's a plus 6. So that will hit.
All right.
Okay.
Sweet. So what you're going to do now, you're going to look for the damage for the greatsword, and you're going to roll that.
2d6.
There you
Yep.
go. So that's,
2 and a 4.
so
Oh,
that's
wow.
6.
So 6.
And then you're going to add your modifier. So that's a 4.
Okay.
So that's 10 damage.
So much math.
Preach it, sister. That's what I'm saying.
And you strike that guard and you just cleave straight into him, and that one wipes him out. And as he's going down, he says, "We see you, and we've found you." And your character also notices this, Dustin, that he's saying this as he's going down.
Can I say, and I've killed you?
Oh, he's dead. He's done crashed out.
It's all right. It still counts. It still counts as trash talk.
Thought,
All right, James. Let's
Since,
see.
since I'm the only one left with somebody in front of them, is somebody coming to help me, or am I just going to take care of this myself?
I'll help. I'm in a kicking mood. So
Well, let's see. What is your movement?
it's 30 feet in a round.
All right, so that would be 25. It is going to provoke an attack of opportunity. Will a 12 hit?
No, it will not.
Wonderful.
It will
All right.
not. On my wonderfully agile 200-pound frame.
All right, so you actually get an opportunity on him as a. Have you taken a bonus action this round?
Well, I thought this was the beginning of a new round.
Yeah,
So that would be my
that's your move.
move.
So now you can do your full action.
Kick. 12.
That'll hit,
That's 4 plus 4, so 8.
and he's down. This plate obviously was not a very strong plate.
Well,
Um,
I don't think anybody understood how awesome the monk is going to be because it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, this plate was more like chain, but it's okay because now a horde of these guys are coming through that east door. And as they flood in, Finn immediately says, "Out the back, go up the stairs, past the rooms, past the shower, out the back.
I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to go ahead and run up the stairs.
I'm gonna
I'm
follow.
actually going to try to make it to my room first.
Okay, and you can go ahead and try and make it to your room. These guys don't really know exactly what they're looking at because it's just scattered bodies everywhere, and this is not something that they had prepared for. So right now they're all in a surprised mode, just seeing all their comrades laid about the way they are. So you'll have enough time to hop by your room on the way out.
Well, I'm personally going to do so. I'm going to get my stuff and book it on out the back door.
I'm going to follow Sir Kix a lot because I already have all my gear with me, and I'm going to book it.
So everybody's making it out to the back of the tavern and not really knowing why we're listening to the innkeeper, but beside the fact he seems like he can hold himself pretty well, everybody's able to make it all the way to the back of the inn right next to where the stables are. Now, Finn pretty much greets all three of you very briefly and says, I'm real sorry that this is happening right now, but things are moving much faster than I ever thought. Monk, I realize, the temple you're from, I know your master. I know your master from legend and long ago. But right now, you're going to be living legends and history in the making. Sweet child, I know that you've been through a lot. Everything has just come into play very quickly between finding about your adoption, going through the trials you've had, having to hide your own face because of what people will be afraid of. That alone is putting you through turmoil. Roland, I've actually been feeling out there and trying to find what's happened to your friend. From my best knowledge, she's been abducted. But these are things that we don't talk about anymore, and these are evils that we don't really look at. There's evils that have been legends for a long, long time that we just do certain things just almost out of habit now. But now the legends are here, and the legends are awakening. Unfortunately, Maddie, you're one of the reasons those legends are awakening, and it's because you killed and destroyed that twining tree. That was a sacred tree in the Shadow Forest that locked the fallen away. So now is the catalyst. Now is the time of change. And you have to all find some way to find the last piece of the key. Maddie has the first piece. It's that medallion that she carries. But the last piece, I'm afraid, is in Kingsland. And that has been absorbed in the Shadow Forest long, long ago. So your quest starts here, and it's west. And it's west into the dark, into the dank, into the horrible domain of the Shadow Forest. Things will not be the same when you come out. Time doesn't act the same way in the forest as it does here in the waking world, in the real world. So be mindful of how long you spend in there. I'm sorry I don't have any other good words for you or any praise, but I will hold off these guards as long as I can. My children and I will be moving west. Find us later. I'll leave word somehow, so when you return, you're able to know where we went. And then Finn goes back inside, daggers just twirling in his fingers, and just battle cries going.
Well, obviously, I'm drawn to Maddie because now I know that she has, just upon mention of the word key, remember instantly what Master Maddox said. So whatever she ends up doing, I'm with her now because she has half of what he was talking about. So I'm looking to her, and I'm just going to say, we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I will take care of you, child.
And I want to know who's responsible for taking my friend Karn. I've been losing sleep thinking about who's lost her, and I want to find who kidnapped her.
Then we go west.
Yes.
You go west.
All right. Well, I don't know about you guys, but this sounds like the perfect opportunity to just go ahead and put a hold on this because we are right at an hour. So let's put a hold on it. We'll come back to it, and next week we'll pick up as we escape the town, or well, at
Now
least
we have
try.
to get out.
We have to try to escape the town. I don't know if we will, but we'll try. So yeah, that was fun. That was great. Monks. Good.
It
I
kicks
like
a
them.
lot.
Yeah, they.
Feet of Fury.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Well, once again, another episode of Dungeon Mastered for Martin, for James, for sweet little Hailey, and for myself, Dustin. We'll see you next week.